Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ryan here, and just like many of you, I'm probably sure that y'all have seen or heard about Athlean X by now. He has like almost 12 million subscribers on YouTube, and I'm sure that many of y'all would probably be in the same boat as I was when I first started working out about 4 or 5 years ago. And y'all were probably watching a lot of Athlean X's videos when y'all first started working out, or maybe you've been working out for a while and still seen some of his videos. But when I first started working out, I was fairly impressionable and listening a lot to what he had to say, only to find out that after working out for a while on my own, some things that he says are not the best, and I actually kind of disagree with him. And I noticed this especially here lately when I'd seen him making some worst ranking exercises, going from worst to best exercises for like chest, for abs and triceps. And I just kind of thought, I might want to react to that. So I'm going to make a new playlist reacting to Jeff's worst to best exercises and kind of giving my thoughts and opinions on some things. That being said, though, let's just go ahead and jump into the video so we're not wasting too much time. Which, by the way, we're going to be covering his worst to best for triceps on this video.
The fact is, it is not one of my favorites, and there's an alternative that I will show you later that is definitely better than this.
Now, I have to kind of agree with him on that one, just because when you're standing and doing that type of exercise, it's called French press, dumbbell press, whatever you want to call it. When you're standing and doing that exercise, you're very off balance. You can't really put a whole lot of weight on there. I know that Jeff likes to be training on his feet and everything like that, which that's good if you are trying to train to be an athlete. But if you're trying to do bodybuilding or just general strength training and stuff like that, doing these types of exercises, in particular for this one, is best whenever you're seated, so that way you can really just focus on pressing that up over your head and getting a good stretch right here on your tricep, and then really focusing on pushing it. When it comes to like tricep workouts, French presses, dumbbell presses, whatever you want to call it, they're not my favorite, but certainly not when you're standing.
You literally have to get into internal rotation at the shoulder in order to place the dumbbell behind your head. And speaking about your head, good luck not hitting it on the way up and down on every single repetition.
And those are two very good points made by Jeff. In my opinion, the shoulder issue isn't as much of a problem for me personally. I don't have bad shoulders, so again, it's not an issue for me. But I totally agree with the weights hitting the back of your neck or hitting the back of your head. That's just something that's always annoying whenever I do those. That's one reason why I don't like to do them. So I have to totally agree with Jeff on this, especially in regards to it standing.
Many years ago, my hate for the exercise actually has only grown. This one here is another one that places the shoulder into that internal rotation position.
Now, I'm just going to kind of agree with him, just because I've never done that exercise, specifically the cross-face tricep extensions. I've never done that, so I can't really say. But I do know when you're doing dumbbell skull crushers, having your arms out above you like that and using dumbbells, since the dumbbells are not supported, and you're just, letting it go, and you're worried about your stabilizers and stuff like that in your shoulders. I've never really liked a dumbbell skull crusher where I'm like doing that with my elbow, so I can only imagine like going across your face like that would not be the best, and it wouldn't be very comfortable. Like I said, I haven't done the exercise before, so not a whole lot of comments.
When you place your hands forward on the bench, as many of us do, including myself many years ago, until I learned better, this places your shoulder into a vulnerable position. You're literally throwing the head of the humerus into the anterior shoulder capsule on the descent of every single rep. If you make the modification, however, to getting your hands turned outwards, as I show them here, and get your chest back, you're going to get the external rotation that makes the exercise much better. The fact is, many of us don't perform it this way.
I knew that he was going to be talking about the bench dips, and he's always saying things about bench dips. I remember him saying stuff about that whenever I first started working out. And my problem is, bench dips really are not that bad. He's going to be talking about shoulder impingement. As long as you just don't literally have crap shoulders. I mean, with how many exercises that he complains about shoulder impingement, it's like, what exercises can you do? I mean, seriously. So honestly, just do the bench dips if it doesn't hurt you. I like doing bench dips, especially towards the end of my workout if I'm doing a little bit more focus on the triceps, just because you can get a really good stretch in it when your arms are back up like that, and then whenever you press down, you can really get a good contraction. And I personally like to focus a little bit more on body weight only, doing higher reps, something like 20, 25 reps, and just really fatiguing that muscle towards the end of my workout. But I will occasionally add some weight, like a 45 or 245s on there, plates, and put them on my lap and just do like 8 to 15 reps on those. I will occasionally do that. He just kind of gets my nerves with how much he talks about shoulder impingement. I mean, honestly, if your shoulders are that freaking bad, you probably shouldn't be working out in general. I mean, at least not with any weight or anything. I just knew that he was going to be talking about bench dips. Do bench dips. If you like doing bench dips, do bench dips. They're going to work out your triceps. They're very good for finishing out your workout. Do the bench dips. If you like doing bench dips, just do it. And there's a reason why you don't see people rotating your hands around like that. I've tried it whenever he was first talking about that when I first started working out, and it is so freaking uncomfortable. I feel more uncomfortable doing my bench dips like that than I do normally. It puts so much strain and pressure on my elbows having it locked out like that and my hand rotated around versus just doing it like normal. Just do them. Just do them. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, just do them. And to say that it's bad just because of that is a bunch of BS. Anyways. Moving on to the next exercise.
However, it's the physics of the exercise that kind of take it down a couple notches. We know that in order to keep the tension high on a muscle, you want to have that line of resistance perpendicular to the moving segment if we can. In this case, our forearm is where we're targeting. And the line of resistance is the cable itself. And you can see that when we get to the bottom of the exercise, those two are almost parallel to each other, meaning we don't have a lot of resistance on the triceps in the peak contracted state. On top of it, this tends to be one of those momentum exercises. A lot of times, we'll get our lats involved, we'll get our core involved, get a little bit of forward leaning involved.
And I totally agree with his ranking on this exercise. I do not like doing those types of exercises. I think I did it like once or twice, and I was like, no, I don't like doing those. It's kind of pointless. Because not only do you have people just throwing the weight around and using momentum and stuff, but you're extremely limited on how much weight you can lift because that weight is going to be pulling you back. And so it's just really hard to even get it set once you can lift a lot of weight. So my recommendation, just do an overhead tricep press with the rope. Just do that because you'll still have resistance on the full extension since the weight is pulling down right behind you, and you're not having to like physically pull yourself forwards to resist the weight pulling you back into the machine. Yeah, just don't do that exercise. In fact, in my opinion, I would have put that at like one of the bottom things, not bench dips, not standing French presses or dumbbell presses or whatever he called them. So my opinion, no, you just avoid that workout altogether. If you're gonna do an exercise, like I said, just do it straight over your head with a cable.
We're talking once again about the physics of the movement, not lining up and giving us the most we can get out of the exercise, especially considering the fact that I'm going to show you a variation you can do later on that will. Not to mention, elbow position matters here. As the elbows start to flare more and more out to the side, as they are on any type of overhand pushdown, you're going to start to involve other muscles, particularly the chest, which is going to take some of the effort away from the triceps and limit the growth that you're seeking there.
Now, I don't know what he's talking about on tricep pushdowns. I almost always use a rope, but will occasionally use a bar whenever I'm doing that. And I just don't understand what he's meaning by that not being like one of the better exercises, because I feel a really good contraction on that because I will press down with it and go out to the side. And I mean, it's not like I don't have good triceps. So, I mean, I do understand my tricep workouts. Whenever I'm going down with that, I'll use a rope and go up past and get a little bit extra extension. I'm usually slightly bent forwards and pushing out like that. But instead of having my cable coming out from over here like he does, I have mine coming straight down. So it'll be, my triceps will be resisting it straight down, and then I'll be doing a little kick just to get it really flexing and stuff. I don't know what he's talking about on that not being a good workout. I feel like it's a good workout, and I think that you should be doing it, preferably with a rope. But occasionally a bar won't hurt because you can lift a little bit, you can push down a little bit more with the bar than you can a rope. I've never felt that exercise in my chest. I have felt it in my shoulders whenever you start to round your shoulders forwards to help you push it down. I've never felt that exercise in my chest. I don't know what he's talking about.
I placed the basic push-up in the same very spot. Why? For the very same reason. The ease of execution. The fact that there's a lack of stimulus here if you could do too many of these.
I kind of agree with him on that. I prefer doing a narrow grip push-up where it's just, you still will have some of your chest, but it's mostly in your triceps. I prefer a narrow grip push-up versus a diamond push-up. I kind of agree with him there. I do think the narrow grip push-up is a little bit better than the diamond push-up.
The Cobra push-up fixes that. You can see that we place ourselves a little bit more forward, and we're finishing in a position with the arms tightly tucked to our sides and more into extension relative to our torso.
Now, I've never done a Cobra push-up. To me, that just kind of seems a little bit gimmicky. He's just trying to come up with a new way of doing a push-up. His hand position is essentially in a narrow grip push-up. Just do a narrow grip push-up. Don't overcomplicate things. If you want to kind of try to be retarded like him, but look at his triceps. Like, even at the peak, they are not very contracted. Or at least in my opinion, it doesn't look very contracted. And I don't know. it looks like he's having more of a contraction in his lower back and shoulders than he is in his tricep. Just do a normal grip push-up.
Why? Even though you have to use potentially a little less weight here, the end effect of what's happening with the triceps is going to increase the effectiveness of the exercise.
Okay, so he's talking about the reverse grip push down, even though technically in that hand position it's more of a pull down than a push down. But I can kind of agree with him on the reverse grip tricep push down, with the exception of you cannot lift as much on the reverse grip as you can on the overhand. So you're not going to be lifting as much to really form that tricep. Really, the only advantage that you get with the reverse grip is a little bit more range of motion and a little bit more activation, but you won't be lifting quite as much weight. On a stack, I can easily take off an extra 30 pounds just to do the reverse grip. So I'm in the position for an overhand grip push down, okay? So whenever I'm doing that, see how much my tricep is activated? Now here's with a rope and separating it at the bottom. See how much activation? Now here is underhand. See, there's not, it all looks basically the same when I'm looking into the screen on my camera. So overhand, rope, reverse. I don't see enough of a difference there to warrant lifting lighter weight. So in my opinion, that would have been in the blue section, like the good but not great. I don't know why he's recommending that.
Instead of targeting some point out in front of you, you should be targeting some point up above you in terms of the finish position. Because you can see, if we go back to the physics once again, that when we finish here, we finish as perpendicular as we can to our forearm with that cable.
It's still basically the same workout as what he was talking about earlier. But in my opinion, just why press it out? Press it up. It's still going to be working out your triceps, but it's going to be so much easier for you versus that. I mean, you're talking about, instead of doing that, you're doing that. Oh, just go straight over your head and have the cable right behind you. No, those are both bad. There's better options for doing exercises for your triceps than that.
And the dumbbell kickback is one of the very few exercises that actually allows us to get that tricep into its fully contracted state, because we have to get the elbow back behind the body. Not just in an extended elbow position, but behind the body as well. This does a better job than anything else.
So he's talking about tricep kickbacks. I do not like doing tricep kickbacks with both arms at the same time. I feel like tricep kickbacks are much better when you do them as a unilateral exercise. So that way, one, you can support yourself on a bench with both your knee and your leg. So that way you can be on it like that. So that way you can really focus on just using your tricep. But then also with it being unilateral, you can really focus on just kicking it back like that, and then also making sure that you're working out both triceps to the same degree, so that way you know what your weaker side is. Like for me, for example, my left side is a little bit weaker, so I start with my left side when I'm doing a tricep kickback, and then move on to my right. It might take a little longer in a workout, sure, but I mean, come on, if you're not trying to even out any imbalances or whatever, then it's just not going to be as effective. And I know that what he's showing is using a dumbbell in each hand, so it's still technically a unilateral exercise, but he is going to be using a lot of momentum, and you're not going to be able to use very much weight bent over like that. At least to me. Personally, I've never liked doing tricep kickbacks completely standing and doing both sides at one time. So for you, I would recommend, getting on a bench, having it supported with one hand in the knee, and then doing one side at a time. I like to do those as a finisher as well. I'll try to do 10 to 20 reps depending on the day, and I will use a little bit lighter reps.
Alleviating any of the concerns I had in terms of the position of the shoulders in the exercise. We're getting externally rotated now rather than internally rotated, which makes a big difference for those of us that have shoulder problems.
So one of the things that he was complaining about on the regular French press, standing French press, dumbbell press, or as he calls it, power bombs. I've never heard it called a power bomb. So it amazes me that he has this fairly high up on his list, mainly because it's still the same type of motion. So you're going to be bopping your head with the dumbbell either way, whether you're standing, sitting, inclined, whatever. And in my experience, I've tried to do like skull crushers or whatever, I'm inclined back. The barbell or dumbbell, whatever you're using, typically tends to hit the back of the bench for me, just because I have a bit of range of motion in my arms and shoulders and stuff. I feel like if you're going to be doing that, just be seated upright, Don't make it a little bit more difficult on yourself being inclined. Also, if you do try to get to higher weights, it does tend to tip you because I've had it a few times where I felt like I was about to be like falling back out of the bench. Just do it seated upright. You know, don't overcomplicate things. In these types of videos, I swear he just tries to overcomplicate working out.
Guys, I mentioned the basic push down, the limitations in terms of the physics of the exercise with the line of resistance not remaining perpendicular to your forearms throughout the exercise.
Do not do those. Just don't. They're basically push downs, but you're using momentum to help lift more weight. Don't do those.
And notice I said upright dip, because if you lean too far forward, you'll place too much of the work on the chest. We want to make sure we maintain as upright and tall of a torso as possible so that as we go down and stop at that important 90-degree position, which maintains the safety of the shoulder, we're going to be pushing back up to the top with the force primarily.
So he's always talking about elbow issues, shoulder impingement, blah, blah, blah. If you've ever done a dip like this, you will know that you can freaking feel that crap in your shoulders big time. So not only is he saying doing dips, but he's talking about doing them weighted. That's even harder. Most people need assistance when doing dips. So they'll have to use an assisted dip machine, you know, to have a counterweight. I wouldn't necessarily say do weighted, just do what you can. If you can do 10 reps easy, then add some weight. If you can't do 10 reps easy, then do some assisted dips. He says that these are almost the best, and I agree they are very good, but it's very contradictory to a lot of his other videos, and it just doesn't make sense with some of the other exercises that he's saying. I do think that dips are good, yes. I wouldn't say that it's almost the best just because it can be pretty freaking bad on some people's shoulders, especially if they go too low in the dip. So yes, definitely do dips, just that is one that you really have to be careful with because I don't usually feel pain in my shoulders or anything, but dips are ones that if I'm not doing it right, yeah, I can feel it.
And what this provides us is, once again, that obvious opportunity to create some mass in the triceps by giving us a good overload option.
Definitely do close grip bench presses. Those are one of the exercises that you're really going to be able to load the weight onto your triceps. Now, yeah, you're going to use a little bit of your chest, blah, 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 okay, whatever. But just having it a little bit narrow grip, about shoulder width or just slightly outside of shoulder width, and you're pressing up, you'll be able to get a lot of weight into your triceps, so that way you can really feel it. As far as range of motion, it might not necessarily be the best, but when it comes to volume, you're definitely going to be feeling it. And I tend to start my tricep exercises with a close grip bench press, especially if I'm also working out triceps and chest in the same day.
Over the close grip bench press has solely to do with the starting position of the exercise, because the starting position of the exercise allows us to recruit the long head of the triceps that the close grip bench press simply does not do as good of a job on.
He calls it line tricep extensions, which I guess it is since he's going like way back behind his head. That might be a little bit hard for you to do depending on shoulder mobility and stuff like that. I would say just stick to regular old skull crushers and just go as far back as you can. So, you know, if you have the bar straight above you and you can only bring it back to like right here, like right above your skull, then just stick with that. If you can kind of get your arms back a little bit more and then go slightly behind your head, stick with that. If you can go as far as he can on that, then that's great. I do think skull crushers are very good to be doing, and you definitely should be doing those on your tricep days. So there's a lot of tricep exercises that I kind of disagree on with the order that he has them in. Ultimately, I think the best tricep workouts that you can be doing is close grip bench press, skull crushers, tricep rope pushdowns, and then you can use the bar. Occasionally mix it up and do a reverse grip and try to shoot for some higher reps, but ultimately I don't think that your grip is too much of an issue. Just occasionally mix it up. Instead of doing like a dumbbell French press or something like that, or a dumbbell press like behind you, get a rope and put it on a cable and do those behind you, because then you'll really feel those. You won't be able to do a whole lot of reps because you'll get fatigued real quick on those things. And then dumbbell tricep kickbacks, where you are supported on a bench and doing unilateral exercises. If you do those 5 or 6 tricep exercises in your workout, that is where you're really going to feel the gains. Don't do some of the gimmicky crap that he's talking about in this video. Also, if you liked this video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. I really appreciate it. Also, if you have any comments about his exercises or what I've had to say, please feel free to share them in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe so that way you'll see more videos like this in the future. That being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.